Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV. We're here for the preview to Villareal versus Arsenal in the UEFA Europa League semi-final. Unai Emery come back to face Arsenal once again. He'll be facing us at the Emirates in the second leg, but we've got to go play Villareal in the first leg. I've got Jamie Kemble with us, Villareal fan. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. So, we'll just obviously start with the main talking point. Obviously, Unai Emery, former manager of Arsenal, coming back to face his old club in a competition that, let's be honest, he thrives in. So, initially, how do you feel going towards this game with that sort of mindset?
Yeah, I think Unai Emery's done a good job at Villareal so far. Still very early in his reign, really. I think obviously his first year. I think it came to a sort of natural end, if you like, at Arsenal. I think he's a little bit unfairly done by in terms of things off the pitch. But he did an okay job at Arsenal. We finished obviously just outside the top four, which is probably where that squad is should finish, if you like. Gone to the Europa League final. And obviously things went a little bit sour at the end, but I thought he did an okay job, and he's doing a good job at Villareal. And on the face of it, I think, as you said, it's Unai Emery's competition. He's won this 3 times, and going into this game, I think you'd probably rather have Unai Emery on your touchline.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's with Arsenal, there's a massive. We'll get to that in a minute. There's obviously this massive debate between Arteta and Emery, who's better. For me, Emery's better. For me, the stats say for itself. Even at his Arsenal record, let alone his overall record. Arteta just it, the one thing you got with Emery is that yes, you probably weren't as structurally sound at the back, but you had chances. You always got chances in a game. Arteta, we've had games where we've been not even great at the back, but we've just been so negative that we hardly have any creativity whatsoever. And for me, obviously, that's why I stand with that Arteta should not be learning at Arsenal Football Club. I think very few times in this Europa League he's got quite lucky. I think Benfica was definitely a game that we got very lucky in the end. But I mean, how do you find Villareal's progress with the Europa League so far?
Yeah, I mean, this season's been excellent. I think no one's won as many games in this competition as Villarreal this season, and even in the history of the competition, actually. But this season we've won 11 of 12 games and drawn the other one. So pretty much a faultless campaign, really. It's had a little bit of an impact on league form. But listen, Unai Emery was brought in to win a trophy, so they will happily sort of give up a little bit of league form for the opportunity, if you like, to go and win the Europa League. And that trade-off is working at the moment because you're in the semi-finals, obviously, with as good a chance as any of reaching the finals. So, in terms of a form in Europe, I think we have won every knockout stage game. I think the only team to do that. So yeah, just couldn't be better in this competition at the moment. But obviously, semi-final, anything can happen, as we all know.
Well, yeah, and I think the one thing also you have with him is that, and this is actually a true stat, he's never actually lost a knockout over 2 legs a knockout round in Europa League, which just shows what the specialist he is in this competition. I mean, like you said, I mean that squad probably fifth, sixth best that season. He didn't get a lot of money to spend in that first season. He got about £50 million, which is nothing in today's money. Which is not nothing in today's money. But when it comes to when it came sort of towards the end of the season, we were third at one point, and it looked like we had third in our hands. And yes, he did bottle the league in the end and bottle that position. And the final, I don't even put too much of a blame on him. I know we set out the lineup was wrong, and probably the way we set out was wrong, but the players' attitude was just disgusting during that game. But so I think that's where also you have an advantage because the manager knows what he's doing as well as he knows Arsenal Football Club. He knows most of the players there because he's worked with them, so he knows strengths and weaknesses that maybe opposition beforehand have not. Now, whether he knows about what Arteta has in store for him, that's another question. That's another matter. But one thing I would say is that he'd be definitely looking to sort of press us from the start, especially as we are very slow. We are so slow at starting games; it's unreal. But yeah, we'll actually get to that question here. Why did Kubo's loan not work at Villareal?
It's a little bit complicated, to be fair. I think a lot of people thought that it was almost an error on Villareal's side and Emery's side of not using him so much. We have sort of not too much of a depth of options out wide, really, but we have sort of Gerard Moreno often does play a little bit wide of centre, and Samuel Chukwueze plays the other side often. And then other options, sort of Moy Gomez and things like that. But with Kubo, I think it was very much an attitude issue at Villarreal. They didn't like the way that he handled himself, and ultimately they just decided that it was best to move him on for the sake of the whole team. I don't think he was happy with the sort of game time he was having, but also there were certainly murmurings that he wasn't showing the right attitude to go and sort of earn that game time, given this obviously an ultra competitive squad. He's joined on loan from a much bigger team, if you like, but ultimately he's only joining a team that's sort of, a team's on the semi-finals of the Europa League and is in a normal season will be challenging a little bit for that sort of top four spot. So he's not joined a team where he's guaranteed game time by any stretch. And his attitude towards earning that game time just meant that he was sort of sent elsewhere.
I mean, I'm just looking at some of the squad you've got here, and who would you say is your biggest threat?
Just lost you a little bit there. Biggest threat would without doubt be Gerard Moreno. 34 goal contributions in 38 games this season. He scored 26 goals. I think he scored 18 in his last 20. He's without doubt one of the most dangerous strikers in Europe at the moment. But with their other players as well, I don't think there are a few players whose team rely on as much as Villarreal rely on Gerard Moreno. I think I saw a stat earlier that they've, in the 5 games without him, I think they've only won 1. So the reliance is quite heavily. But that's sort of normal to rely on, obviously, a top striker.
No, I've had something.
And there's, we've got sort of Paco Alcacer as well, who will likely go to the Euros with Spain. Samuel Chukwueze is a talented young player and a great defender as well. And Pau Torres, who's sort of being chased by a lot of clubs heading into this summer. So, yeah, plenty of threats, but Gerard Moreno is without doubt the main man.
Yeah. I'd also like to ask, because I think you've got Francis Coquelin in your defensive midfield. So how do you find, because obviously he used to be at Arsenal, never quite made it as a DM at Arsenal, but how did you find his contribution to the team, and how do you think he's been getting on at Villareal?
In honesty, we haven't seen an awful lot of him. He's sort of had to play a sort of squad role this season. Whether that will change going forward, I don't know. But we have quite a strong midfield between Mount Trigueros and Dani Parejo, 2 experienced and very good players, very good technical players. And then in January, brought in the former Spurs man Etienne Capoue. He's been playing in the defensive midfield role in the last few weeks, and another former Spurs guy in Juan Foyth has played a little bit in defensive midfield as well in the first half of the season. So, Coquelin, we've just seen a little bit of him at the moment. He's not sort of become a starter by any means, and obviously we look to change that going into the next season, I should imagine. I just lost your audio.
Oh, don't. Everything's just moving mad. Yeah, do hit the like button, hit the share button. Shut up, bloody thing. Right. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And yeah, do share this while we're live, and do hit that subscribe button if you are new. On our way to 1.5k now. So, your thoughts on Chukwueze recently from recent form? He's really improved.
Yeah, he's been very good lately. He's one of those players who's almost a little bit frustrating because he burst onto the scene and was sort of thought of as one of the sort of big next talents in the world, out wide in terms of young wingers. But maybe it's a little bit unfair to say he's stagnated because he's still only 21 years of age, so he's still got sort of plenty of time to fulfill his potential. But he's he's a player who just needs to work on that final product. Is something we see a lot with young wingers. But he's still a very good player, and I think, well, on Sunday he scored an excellent goal against Barcelona, sort of rounding the keeper and scoring from an angle, and he's right there. The person who asked the question is he's been in great form of late, and that's obviously what you want going into a European semi-final. Certainly another dangerous sort of asset to have against Arsenal, who obviously haven't been probably okay defensively, but not totally sound this season.
Yeah. No, I didn't watch you because you're not him. Well, yeah, like the whole of Spotify is going to watch this. Yeah, I mean, obviously, talking about our owners, I just don't. It's like it's going to be a long, drawn out war between if the Spotify guy is actually that serious, or if it's not just a marketing ploy. Obviously, we've got to get the conkies out somehow. Okay. Because we're not going to compete in Europe or compete for a title under this lot. So, and yeah, and you can tell by the way the squad is, it needs investment. But then again, it needs also a good manager to get the best out of him. And this is what I've said all along is what Arteta doesn't do, which is he never gets what's best from that squad. And I'm sorry, people can sit there all day and moan about it, but if you've got Pepe, you've got Aubameyang, you've got Lacazette, you've got Martinelli, you've got Saka, you've got Gabriel, you've got Leno, you're telling me that's not 10th? You're telling me that's 10th best team in the league? It's not. It should be getting to a European final, a Europa League final, pretty easily. It shouldn't be struggling like we have done, like against Olympiacos. I mean, the second leg, don't forget, we lost that 1-0. The Benfica game, we were 2-1 down with 20 minutes to go. We should have been out of it. So, yeah, no one can sit there and tell me categorically that team is not better than 10th place. So, and
yeah, I think I'd agree with that. And obviously, as you sort of pointed out earlier, I think Emery got sacked for having a better record, if you like. I think Arteta's now had
when he got sacked, the same time they got sacked, Arteta lost 6 or 7 games. He had lost 3.
Yeah, I think his stats show he's a better record, but I think that's to do with sort of the way in which they were appointed. If you like, I think Emery's brought into, as he has been now, to Villareal to win a trophy, whereas Arteta was probably brought in to have a bit of a rebuild, and they probably knew that they're going to give him sort of 3 years, try and put sort of project in place. And some managers will have that. If you're early in your career, you get the chance to build a project, like you saw a little bit with Lampard. Obviously, that was cut short. But if you're Emery and you've got a history of winning things, they just want sort of results now, and I think he pays the price for that, really.
The problem is that that's all right saying you need a process, or you need this, that, and all the other. But hang on, you need to progress as well, and he's not doing it. He makes the same mistakes week in, week out. Right? We play the same way week in, week out. You look at the football and I'll do a watch on tonight, and it'll be so boring. I'll be doing this. You can't. I mean, all you'd be commenting is going sideways, going backwards, going sideways, going backwards. It's just there's no intent. We've had one or two performances or parts in a game where we've gone, wow, that looks good, and then it's gone. Never seen it again, and that's not just the opposition we're playing, right? That's just down to the fact of the way we've been set up and the way we come out. And I do feel as if Villareal see that, they'll act on it. And I mean, I remember watched Emery the first start of his first season. It was high tempo, high press, always wanting to win the ball back, wanted to be direct, creating chances. And if our people might say we got a better defensive record, right? Well, I'm sorry, we're gonna struggle with that. I mean, how do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, looking at Arsenal, have obviously gifted many goals away this season, and usually they're not sort of systematic errors, but just sort of silly individual errors. That's something we've seen throughout the season.
A new sponsor called Gifted.com.
Well, that's it. But you want if you want to commit those errors against Gerard Moreno, so Europe's sort of hottest striker. I don't think I think I've read somebody's better sort of record in terms of since the start of this year than Haaland and Mbappe. You want to give those chances to Gerard Moreno, then you're not going to get to the final. It's just as simple as that. So those individual errors just can't happen, and not just against Villareal, they just can't happen at semi-final European competition against anyone. It's just, at a higher level now. We've both been lucky to have favourable draws, I think, to get to this point. But now, obviously, everyone left in the competition is a very decent team, and you just can't afford those errors, and you'd be going out if that happens again. Yeah, I think.
It's like you mentioned before with Alcacer as well. I bet you he's more clinical than Lacazette and Aubameyang. And to be honest, I've seen a bit of him in the Bundesliga, and you can't give him any opportunities, he'll take it. So he's the one, probably for me, he's the main guy I would be looking out for, especially if you're giving him service, which I know with Emery's style of play, that's what they'll get. They'll get a chance. They'll get chances. So if we're going to get chances back, we've got to make sure we be clinical. But I've seen Lacazette miss sitters and hit the bar. I've seen the amount of goals I've seen where we should be scoring and it's not gone in is mind-boggling. And people might say, like, that's not Arteta's fault. Okay, it's not Arteta's fault. Okay. But who trains them on the pitch? On the training pitch? They've got to train this somehow. So it just all in all, what I see from Arsenal is that it doesn't seem like a team that has been training on the pitch very well every week. It just seems like a group of 11 players have been founded off Finsbury Park and just gone, go play football, please. Right? And they're just like, well, what do we do? I mean, when we ever gone forward, you would see us go forward and someone looks up and wants to play a cross or a cut and through pass, and they're static, or they're static in one area. And I'm like, you're not going to get anything, especially if you're playing a low block, you're not going to get anything from it. It's as simple as that, because they'll just sit with two blanks before and say, yeah, go on then. The idea is then one's got to run one way, one's got to run another way. You create space for everyone else, but they don't. They're just static, so there's no space created, and it just gets easily won and dealt with, or we end up passing sideways or backwards, or sideways or backwards, and to the point where you don't really notice a goal going in because you've been so bored all game. It only just comes up and like, oh yeah, goal. But
That's the plan.
But how would you do you think Villareal will set up any differently to how they usually set up against Arsenal? Do you think Emery will have anything in store for you guys?
I don't think we set up differently. Got a sort of solid system in terms of formation. Like I say, we'll probably see Alcacer through the middle, Gerard Moreno just off to the right, and he'll rotate inwards, and probably have Chukwueze on the other side. I think lineup-wise, probably one thing I'd probably be interested in is Juan Foyth's done really well on right back of late. Since he started playing there, since sort of middle
Is
of.
that Foyth from Tottenham?
Yeah, he's on loan. So he came in and he started. He was a centre back at Spurs, but he played a defensive midfield initially for Villareal. But now he's gone to right back and has done really well. He had a big error on Sunday. He sort of gave away a goal. But to be honest, it's literally the first foot he's put wrong since he's came to the club. So I think it'll be interesting to see whether he's trusted against the pace of sort of Pepe. Because Pepe playing on the left, one he so. Would be interesting to see if he's trusted with that pace or whether they go sort of Ruben Peña on the right, maybe Mario Gaspar. So that's the only sort of change I can really see. Padraza was rested on Sunday. He'll probably play left back. He's got plenty of pace to sort of combat Saka. I think in terms of approach, I don't think it'd be much different. I mean, you said it yourself, Unai Emery's very good tactically. He knows how to get through in his competition. So everything is obviously based around opponents, but in terms of the sort of basic approach, in terms of formation and selection, I don't think there'll be too much change. And especially, realistically speaking, we're playing an Arsenal side who were 11th in the table. I'm not underestimating Arsenal there, because at this stage of competition, anyone can beat anyone. But it's not a sort of rip up your game plan. We played Barcelona on Sunday, so if you're putting a lineup to take on a real informed Barcelona side, it's not going to change too much for an Arsenal side who are sort of mid-table in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. Is that Arsenal's season pretty much ended right at the start. To be honest, I mean, that's how bad it was. Just gonna. If anyone did want to come on afterwards, I will not be doing that. So I'm in the hospital. I've just finished my infusion, so I'll get this done and then I'll be off home. So, but big afternoon to everyone. Emery's going to smash us. Oh God, yeah, he could do, but the thing I have with Arteta as well is that with the way we set up is that he'll set up with players who that we should be playing, but he'll put them on the bench instead, like Martinelli, for example. People might say, "Oh, well, he did play on the weekend, so he'll start." No, he won't. The amount of times he has literally shifted the team so we don't end up playing him. Like we decide to put Willian on the right and Pepe on the left, or we keep Saka on the right and put someone else on the left, just to make sure. It's like he's personally trying to make sure he doesn't play him. Where we've got no striker, we've got no Lacazette, we've got any Nketiah or Balogun. Now, Balogun, if you think he's too young, then fine. But Nketiah has had so many chances, I don't think we trust him. I've seen Martinelli start up front when Emery put him up front when he first brought him in. He was scoring goals for fun. So, for me, I'd put Martinelli up front. I would put Saka on the right, and I'd put Smith on the left and Odegaard in the middle. Because then you've got pace, and if you've got that with Partey and Xhaka in the middle, then you've got the best chance to have a good enough pace in the side to cope with Villareal, especially if they want to come out and be aggressive from the front foot. Just quickly go to Steve. Yeah, I'm okay. Just having my regular infusion every week, so that's fine. No worries. Do you think Pau Torres getting the ball behind the Arsenal backline will be dangerous? I'll ask you that question, actually.
Yeah, certainly. It's a part of his game. That's sort of helped him become sort of attractive to everyone in sort of European football ahead of this summer. I think pretty much all the top teams that have linked with him. He did that on Sunday. I don't know if anyone saw that. A brilliant ball in behind created the Chukwueze goal against Barcelona, as Chris has just mentioned there.
In that game, didn't you?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, as well, probably first half probably the worst we've defended all season. To be fair, we still got in a 2-1 And then we sort of dominated the second half and probably unlucky to get a goal. Even after the red card, sort of unlucky to get a goal. So one of those games, but yeah, to take on Barcelona.
I'm not knocking the performance. I mean, obviously, it's like Barcelona are not the team they were, but to go to Barcelona still, I mean, they still got Messi, they still got Longley, they got Umiti, all those players, and still managed to get something and not get battered like that, especially after going down to 10 men. Right, it's a pretty damn good result.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we dominated second half even with the red card. Barcelona in really good form. They'll probably end up winning the league, to be honest. So I think that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people have said if the Arsenal that turned up against Slavia Prague in the second half turn up, then watch out, kind of thing. Well, I mean, even that version of the Arsenal, I don't think are quite as good as Barcelona are at the moment in their form. And if Villareal can have their worst defensive performance of the season and get in a 2-1 after a red card, I probably feel pretty confident they can deal with Arsenal even on this sort of at their best. I'm not to say that Arsenal will win the game, but I think it'll be close. Whatever Arsenal turn up and whatever Villareal turn up.
Well, I mean, you've got even the top four.
Yeah, right.
I only just looked at it now. Top four, any one of them can win it.
Yeah, I think Barcelona will, but it's very close.
Yeah, Barcelona have a game in hand though.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I mean, yeah, just separated by 3 points. Wow. You're seventh, 1 point behind a European spot with Betis. Do you think you'd be able to jump Betis and get into the Europa League spots?
I'd like to think so. We dropped the seventh because we lost the last two games. The Barcelona one's a given, but it was a bit of a slip up against Alaves. I think there's been a real knock-on effect where we have prioritised the Europa League and then rested the odd player going into league games just because of the build-up of football. But like I said earlier, that's a trade-off the club will accept because they want the first major trophy. In terms of jumping Betis, I think it's probably going to be difficult. To be fair, I think they've got the better of the fixtures, as have Real Sociedad. But there's still 5 games left. I think it's 5, and plenty of twists and turns, I imagine, especially with teams playing teams on the bottom. The relegation battle is just as close, so playing those teams is dangerous this time of the season, and there'll probably be a few different results. But listen, I think the Europa League is the priority from here.
So does Villareal still control the midfield like he did at Valencia?
Yeah, very good. Very lucky to get him in the summer. An excellent player in that midfield, like Chris mentioned there, does control the midfield, does control the ball, which is great for Villareal, a team who sort of dominate possession in most games. And he sits alongside Mantrigueros as well. He's just a beautiful player to watch on the ball, great technically, and will dish out passes left, right, and centre. So those two in midfield just gives it a real stylish look, to be fair. And then he obviously got some protection behind with Capueo, whoever's going to play there. But Parejo, he's one of those players who doesn't always catch the eye, but he's a truly excellent player in midfield.
Yeah, I feel with oh God, I'm trying to think. I think that's gonna be an interesting battle, especially when you've got Partey and Xhaka in there.
Yeah.
Xhaka, do you know what? People say he's better than Elneny, but part of me is like, I don't know, because and don't do anything, but he doesn't make mistakes, right? Because he plays it simple. He's one of those that will never overcomplicate it. He'll just play a simple ball, even if it's negative. It's simple. And sometimes as a DM, I'd rather that rather than just trying to be extravagant, like Xhaka, like crossing the ball in the middle of the box and it coming off a Burnley player and going in the net. For me, it's just, oh my God. But the thing is that we've got Partey, and it's one of the it's choose. Which one's the least worse than the other? They're all shit. But which one's the lesser shit? But that's if you dominate that midfield like you say you have been. then we're in trouble. We are in trouble. And again, it depends probably on how Partey plays and how you deal with Partey. If you deal with Partey, you deal with our midfield, because our midfield don't exist without him. Simple as that. So the assembled afternoon chaps. Do you feel Arteta will play the right lineup? No. Like, honestly, if he does, right, that basically means Martinelli's up front, Smith Rowe's on the left, Saka's on the right, Odegaard's in the middle, and I know what he's like, so we have to put Partey and Xhaka to make sure he doesn't cop that one up, right? Put Cedric on the left, put Xhaka, put Bellerin on the right. As much as I hate him. Gabriel on hold. Sometimes you've got players that are great, and then you've just got absolute trash next to it, and it's like trying to sift through it, like saying which one's the least worst and which one's the bit I can save and still use a bit, but we cycle. Yeah, for me, Arteta never usually gets it right. He always ends up making one mistake. He ends up then fixing by the 70th minute because he then realises that's what he should have done in the first place. Is the Albiol and Torres partnership good at Villareal?
Yeah, certainly. Torres, as you've seen, is a great young prospect. Only probably playing for one of the top teams next season. He'll be starting alongside Sergio Ramos in the summer in the Euros for Spain. So, and then you've got Raul Albiol, who's obviously been there for Spain. He's been there around Europe. He's played in the Champions League. Very experienced player. Obviously lacks a bit of pace, and that might mean that something changes going into next season. But to have an experienced head who knows this game inside out, and then a promising young player who's still learning but is already at an elite level, to have those two together, I think is a nice combination, and it's shown plenty this season.
So big up. Say how are you? Is Albert Moreno still a liability? He was dreadful at Liverpool.
We haven't seen an awful lot of him, to be fair.
He'll fit right in Liverpool's squad then.
This season, yeah, he had a serious knee injury, so he's only come back in the last few weeks. He started on Sunday, and because Pedraza was a little bit fatigued, but you'll probably see Pedraza playing left to cope with Saka's pace and to give Villareal a bit more going forward. I don't think Moreno was 100% match fit. He came off before the end as well. Just getting minutes back in the tank at the moment, but I don't think he'll be starting tonight.
Do you know what? I think this one's the comment of the show. Arsenal have better players individually, but Villareal have a better team. So, and that is definitely speaks volumes of why Arsenal are where they are and find themselves in the position, because people might want to give Emery excuses, but in the end, it's his management that's put us in this position. Right? He's put himself in this position. You can't look at Kroenke's, right? You can't look at the players. In the end, right? The way you set out and the way you play comes down to the manager. And if you throw away like you did with the FA Cup, like the way you did, and then and if you throw away like that, and you did, and also set up where you played in the league, so at the start of the season, and not hesitant to change it, well, it comes down to the manager in the end, because you never changed it in the first place. I'm sorry, you didn't. The only thing you changed was the lineup. Every once in a while, you made one change, which was a direct swap. So if you then find yourself 16th at the start of the season with your season over, that's down to you, right? Yes, for me, I don't really have any sort of sympathy for Arteta, because with the only reason now we're trying to keep it going in the Europa League is because it's the only thing we've got left fighting for. Because it's either that or it's what UEFA Conference League next season. Conference League, for God's sake. I mean, it couldn't get any worse, could it? And I'm the only one who would play 4-2-3-1 with Partey, Odegaard, Pepe, ESR, Saka. Odegaard can play the NR8 role, and I just don't rate Xhaka. Yeah, I get your point. Do you think Emery's 4-4-2 will get the better? I think it can. What do you think?
Well, in terms of formation, probably the shape is quite it evolved. Emery changes things a lot during the game, but really it's probably more like a 4-3-3. To be fair, he played Chukwueze on a sort of left attacking wing. Like I said, Moreno play on the right and cut inside. You have Paco Alcacer in the middle, and then you've got a sort of midfield three of Parejo and Trigueros, and then a holding midfielder. So you got one pivot. So I think it's more of a 4-3-3 really, but it evolved in the game. It really does, and he's constantly making changes to deal with different situations. And I think Samuel Chukwueze gave an interview to UEFA about those changes in the game, and how he sort of sits on the bench sometimes, just blown away by the amount of tactical changes that take place. So expect a sort of flexible formation. Not that you want to put a label on it, to be fair, but certainly going forward, it's a lot like a 4-3-3.
Yeah. Jamie, are you happy with Unai? Are you happy with him?
Yeah, I think so. I think most Villareal fans are. Obviously, like I said, it's still first season. You have to see how these things go over time. But his mandate was to come in and win a first ever major trophy for Villareal. They're on course to do that. League form, like I said, has suffered because got to the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey and have got to the semi-finals of the Europa League. So played a lot of football this season. But that can happen, and like I said, the board were happy to do that. The Villareal were happy to sort of sacrifice a little bit of league form if it meant really getting a chance in the cup. And as lots of Europa League sides who win the Europa League know, it is very, very difficult to go far in this competition and still do really well in the league. So, and still saying obviously dropping off in the league, we're still within a good chance of qualifying for next season, which is where we want to be anyway. And a bit unlucky that the top four has been so competitive and Sevilla have been so good to pull away as they have, but that can happen this season, especially when he's sort of committed to European dreams, if you like.
Yeah. I'm going to quickly wrap this up because I've just done my infusion finished. I've got nurses and doctors waiting for us as well. So I'll quickly wrap this up in the next couple of minutes. So, score prediction for the first leg.
It'll be very tight, I think. 1-0 Villareal, maybe.
My optimistic side has said 1-1, but my head has said 2. My realistic side says 2-1. That's what my realistic side. That's for me. But anyway, Arsenal lineup is too rigid. Yeah. So they don't adjust to the tactical changes. That's the problem. But like I said, I have to wrap this up. But thanks for everyone that's tuned in as usual. Hopefully, so we'll get you back on there next week for the next week's preview.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me, and all the best.
All right, cool. Until then, everyone stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you later on at 6 for the Wonder Kid Watch. Take care.